Hello, you're very welcome to this edition of the Under Center podcast. And Dara here with you, of course. And I'm delighted to be joined by, first of all, Adam Wilson. Adam, how are you, sir? I thought you were missing, but you've appeared.
Yeah, not too bad. Long time no see. Hopefully, I'll be a bit more available, but we'll see how things go.
Well, look, you better be, because I need to get some. You're like my reporter up north now. With all the teams doing well up north, I need that ear to the ground up there, buddy. You're my guy.
I'll try my best. I've got a little source anyway, but I'm sure we'll find out more of them later.
That's a terrible thing to call our guest. Little source. Terrible thing to call our guest. We are also. We are delighted to be joined as our guest this week on the show is Razorbacks head coach / I guess we could also say running back / linebacker /
I don't know if you could call it that.
I don't know. We'll call it. There's a few names in there. Anyway, it is Gareth Millar. How are you, sir? It's great to have you on the show.
I'm good. Looking forward to it.
Excellent stuff. You've definitely been busy this season for sure. Appearing on, I think, nearly every podcast there is in Ireland at this stage.
Yeah. Listen, it was a drunken night in, what was it, the Super Bowl party that I promised Neil that it would go on the podcast. And I tell you, I suffer from anxiety doing these things. Like, you'll see me move about and I'm pulling my thumbs and fingers. But no, it's been good. The more I'm doing, the more easier it gets.
Excellent stuff. Well, look, listen, there's nothing to be worried about on this show. There won't be any tough questions at all until we actually, of course, get to the Instagram questions. That there has definitely been a few. Adam has also got a few, I'm guessing, from a few of the Giants lads, if they want to ask a few questions. Most notably, probably Adam, when does training start so they can head down, is it?
No.
Not at all. I'm only joking, of course. But before we actually get into the questions on the show itself, we have to say a big happy birthday to you, Gareth. 4-0 today. Jesus, how is the body feeling now, being 40 and still? What were you going to say? We were speaking off air next year, going for the 25 years now next year in the league.
25 years debating it. You know, if I can put the effort in that I haven't done in the past 2 years, I would go for it. Because I don't know who's the longest running or longest person in the league. You know, playing. You know,
isn't your man Kyle from the Crusaders? Didn't he just celebrate his 60th birthday there last week or the week before?
What's many seasons has he got?
Oh, I couldn't tell you how many seasons now.
See, that's the one. That's what I want to go for. The most seasons. Take the COVID out of it. You know.
Fucking count it. You were going to play. It's not as if you weren't going to play. I'm still counting those as 2 seasons. I was willing to play. It's just there was nowhere to play.
I did. I played the first season. I played a preseason for the Knights, and then I played 2 preseasons for the Knights the year after. So I counted 2. You know, I take it.
So we'll 27. Jeez, that's definitely. That'd be 27 now.
No, 25. 25. Not
that's if you count down to 25. Right. All right. We'll get Aiden on, and he'll say it's not actually 25, it's 23. So you'll have to play for another 2 more years after that now too.
I'll consult my body and see how that works.
just give Tom Brady a call there and just say, Tom, what do you do to keep going to 45?
But he just had a good O-line, you know.
Well, look, listen, you're a running back. You need a good O-line as well. So make sure you get a good. You're the head coach.
I just have a bit of recruitment. But
yeah,
one there. We have a good one in the making. So we'll get that.
Absolutely, we do. So let's actually get straight into it, and then, of course, the Razorbacks are 3-4 so far this year. Of course, starting off with a good win against the Jets in week 1. Then it's sort of a 3-game slide there of losses. Then coming back, obviously, in week 5 and 6 with wins, and then obviously just a couple of weeks ago, just that narrow loss to the Crusaders. And as an overall thing, first of all, Gareth, how has it been in Division 1 Was it as tough a step, maybe, or tougher than you probably anticipated before it started?
No, I knew what I was getting. You play the Rhinos, you play the Limerick, the Vikings, for all them years that you know what you're coming up against. And at the end of the day, the boys taking that step up to me was needed. To let them see that it's this sport isn't a hobby. It's a sport. It's something that you have to take on board and get better at. If you don't do that, what's the point? And a lot of them have taken the step up very serious, and a lot of them sort of didn't, and then the ones that didn't have now went, right, okay, this is the level I need to be at. So the step up was perfect in my eyes.
Yeah. Like we said, that the season's had its ups and downs with the game one victory and then the 3 losses in a row. Did you do anything yourself differently during that 3 games, sort of in approach wise, or was it maybe just the fact that this is a team of a lot of guys coming together for the first time? A lot of these guys probably haven't played D1 as well before. Was it just maybe just getting used to the league for those 3 games, or maybe did you change anything to sort of, get the team back on the winning run again?
The issue we had was the win at the start was perfect. You always want to win your opening game, and get that out of the way, but inconsistencies come in with wins. You start thinking this is easy and so on and so forth, So when we played Louth, we were at that point 7-0 down in the third quarter, so it shows that we have it there, but just not the head straight. Then going in against the Rhinos, it's a hard back-to-back, and then you're going in against a trip to Limerick. So the focus was to be competitive. The scoreline didn't show, when you look at a scoreline, you go, yeah, blowout. Where realistically, we put points on Limerick. We take that as a win, for stepping up for the first year. We just took on board, and the boys came out and after the 3 losses in a row and came out against the Vipers and won, and kept cool heads and grinded the win out. So the players themselves and the coaches around me looked at what we needed, and the attitudes were fantastic, and I can't give them enough props for it, and that win give us a bit more confidence that we deserve to be there. Because when you're getting 3 losses in a row, you're going, should we have made this move? I allowed a lot of pressures to come onto me at the start. People saying the Razorbacks are going to do well, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. You're sort of pushing for the wins to show that, yes, we are good. But we had to go back to the drawing board and go, the Jets that we got in came in January after our preseason. So we were then reversing to go through playbooks again. And so we just had to reset ourselves and go, do you know what? Enjoy this season, take everything in and actually learn from it. And the boys they've grasped it with 2 hands, and it's lovely to see, within the club.
Yeah, totally. And like you mentioned, with the changes that you've had to do in the off season with the players coming in, obviously at different stages, and you say you sort of take it on yourself a little bit with your sort of coaching style, and how has it developed naturally over the last few years now, looking after the Razorbacks as the main guy? Do you feel now you have to sort of be a little more patient? Do you have like people that can take sort of a more stricter approach, and some guys have to have like maybe a little bit of a nicey softy approach?
I think the way we what's the best way to think about it? Like a headmaster. If I have to speak, someone's done something wrong. I can look round and let the coaches coach, and they coach whatever way they coach. And, Louis has a different way to coaching than Zach, and, they coach that way. And if I see anyone not listening, and I come over and have to step in, they know they've done wrong. They, more the disciplinarian than anything. And the respect levels are there, which makes it so much more easier, and listen, I'll push them to the limit until they snap at me, and once they hit that, break them to make them, And I think the mentality has been the biggest part of it. They know when they've messed up when I'm speaking to them, and they respect that, and they put their head down and go. And we haven't had any bust ups, so I'll take that as a plus.
No, none you want to tell us anyway. Is that what it is? Yeah.
I would tell you. I would call them out on
this. From yourself as well, when you were talking about sort of the coaching styles and everything like that, obviously, running back has been your position for so long. Do you find yourself, naturally sort of drifting over and coaching maybe the running backs a little more, or would you be, say, a little harsher with not harsher, but would you sort of expect more from that running back position, just from how you used to play the game, or still play the game? Not even used to, still play the game.
I'm going to hit you with what running backs? Listen, we lost wee Decky. Came from the Jets. Me and him, great relationship. It was just me and him, and I was happy to back him up until we can find someone else. And the boy was running rampant at training against scrimmages. He was outstanding. And he fell literally 2 weeks before the first game of the season, and we're trying to see what's wrong with him. He's been out all season, and the wee lad just wants to go, and you're telling him not to, and he's looking at you going, "Yeah, that's fine for you." You've had your seasons, and I say, get yourself fixed, and let's have 20 seasons, rather than really hurt yourself and not you done. But until Alex came back over, it was the old lad taking the snaps and trying his hardest, doing what I can. But no, I would slide. I'm lucky enough to have enough coaches to work at slide between positions and keep an eye and make sure everything's, keep a hand and a finger in the pulse, as I say.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And who was it there the last few games? Was it one of the Kuzmic brothers has been playing sort of running back there for you for the last little?
Yeah, and he's loving it. Like he's played defense all his career, the same way I played defense, and then you go into that running position, and he's loving it. And we had a wide receiver saying, "Could I give it a go?" James Earls, and I was apprehensive during the season because a running back, it's a tight position. If you know the game and you know the defense and you can read and stuff like that, and he came in and tore it up, for someone that's only, well, actually, I think he played the Jets game and scored, and he literally had no sessions at running back. So I sort of looked and went, okay, you've proved me wrong there. So let's run you through your paces, So that's been brilliant to find those extra people, But it's you need, in my eyes, you need at least 5 running backs, because it's hard position.
Yeah. Well, look, you just need to ask our guys as well. They seem to fall by the wayside as well. It's tough. Basically just running into brick walls for what 20 plays a game at least, just and trying to come out the other end saying, yeah, ready to do exact same thing the very next play. It's tough. You need to have a certain mentality for that, for sure.
Psychotic.
Psychotic's one of them for sure. Yeah, it's definitely. But I want to ask about sort of, being in Belfast with the Razorbacks, a team maybe that has changed its approach these last few years, obviously with yourself and obviously with the amount of stuff that you're doing in the background with the social media and everything like that as well, which is fantastic. I look at Belfast and then I sort of compare it to the likes of, say, Dublin as well. These are two cities that have such a high population, a dense population, which also means that it's going to attract teams to it. So, like, obviously in Belfast, you have yourselves, the Knights, the Trojans. Jets aren't too far away as well. Like, do you find it tough at a certain stage to get people interested, because they would look at the Trojans and they would look at the Knights, established teams in the Premier Division that players would probably want to go and play for if they're new to the sport. And how did you feel that you were going? What did you think you were going to have to do differently to them to attract players to play for the Razorbacks?
You know, it's a tough one because you have two big clubs. When you look at it, you know, I played for the Trojans 2019, won a Shamrock Bowl with them. You know, great club. And then you've got the Knights who I played at so many seasons with. You're having it's a game of chess. You're 2-3 steps ahead of them. You know, get your rookie camp quicker. You know, get everyone down. Now, at the same time, you might not keep these people, you know, but at least you're trying to show the environment, you know, have that environment of coaches, show them where your plans are, you know, push forward, because this is an up-and-coming team. So why not be part of an up-and-coming team rather than an established team? You might not get game time, you know, and you hear a lot of people say, I paid money to stand on the sidelines. You know, and I believe that unless you're safe and you train hard and your attitude's good, you know, you shouldn't be guaranteed game time, but there's less chance of getting it with an established team because they've established their O-line, they've established quarterback, you know. It's one of them ones that you're not down in any team in any way, but you're sort of selling the dream of, you know, you're going to play American football. And they do. And that's the thing. They might not get as many reps as they want, but that's what preseason games are for, you know, to let them show you that wee bit extra. But it's just being 2-3 steps ahead of everyone else, you know, and doing it the constructive way. Don't the wee silly things, you know, don't have them. Just get your rookie camps out of the way, get your preseason started and have your game set up for preseason and show them that they're going to have game time preseason, you know, and that bites them in, I feel. Mm-hmm. Well, it's happened.
Yeah, and like you're saying with that as well, you know, there is that motivation there where you have to say to a guy or a girl if they're coming to play, and it's just that, like, you don't just show up to training and you'll automatically play. It's that sort of thing where you have to show us in training what you're doing. You have to show that you're improving each week. Maybe outside the training, you know, you're hitting the gym, you're going for runs, you're doing something. Like there's a level of commitment, although it is an amateur sport that we all pay for the privilege to play. Yeah. There is still that sort of commitment that you do have to show to it, that you are looking to get better.
My thing is when they pay their money, they don't pay to play. They don't pay to play. They're investing in the club. They're actually part of the club. They have a vote in the club. They say how it runs. You know, that's what you pay your money for, is how the clubs run more than the free time. If you're looking to pay £1,000 just to play a couple of games, you know, it's not going to work. You have to show the commitment. This preseason, this preseason is going to be the same thing. We're at zero. Every player, no matter what they've done last season, they have to come in and earn their spot back, you know, and earn their jersey. And if there's someone better, you need to get better than them. And each time you're progressing them up the ladder as well. You're keeping the starters, the so-called starters, on their toes, and that's the way it should be, you know. And if someone comes in and they blow the place up, how can I keep them off the field? But all the boys understand that, and they love the fact that they have to be pushing themselves. When I'm not looking, it's up to you what you do. But I'll be looking on a Wednesday or a Sunday, and we'll be making decisions on game days, you know. So I think that's what they love. You've always got the opportunity. The underdog can come in and take over.
Yeah. And as a coaching sort of tools that you use, you know, before the season started, there were comments and sort of, you know, jokes made about the team and how they were promoted and, you know, the numbers that the team had. And are you one of those coaches that would use it as a motivation tool for the team? Or would you be more telling the lads, say, look, listen, forget about that noise. Don't even let it enter your brain at all. Just focus on the job that we have to do.
The thing with the likes of memes and stuff, listen, everybody's entitled to their opinions, and, you know, they can say what they want. I'm not going to hold anything against anyone. I wouldn't fall out with anyone if they said that we're terrible. You know, we have a lot to work on, you know, but I wouldn't use it either. because then you're giving the naysayers the time of day. Where realistically, if someone has a problem with the Razorbacks, take it up with me. Give me a phone. What's your issue? Get it out in the blue, get it out in the air, and get it over and done with. Because we have to concentrate on playing. We don't care about that. I survived the forums back in the day, and all the old hands will tell you the amount of abuse we give each other, and you wanted to kill each other. But that stopped us from focusing at the winning of a game. That had us at each other's throats. To where you weren't concentrating on your game. You were looking for a number to go and basically nut. Let's face it, there's no point in saying any different. And, and I've nutted a few and they've nutted me, and we're all good friends now, and from way back, them forums were disgusting. If if you think memes are bad, you ask anyone in the forum days how bad they were. And you have people with fake profiles, catfishing before catfish was invented, with fake profiles. And it was people from other teams saying they were affiliated with other teams to get other teams at other teams' throats. It was horrendous.
That's 3D chess that they're playing. That is, that's what it is. But see what it is now is that people are having meme wars, so it seems to be meme accounts going after each other rather than commenting on the team. So I say teams are looking back saying, yeah, you do your thing, you go after each other, we're all right just sitting here and doing what we want to do. But look, let's move on to the listener questions. We have quite a few to get through, so we'll start with them straight away. I was going to let Adam go first, but he's just having a bit of headphone difficulty, so I'll wait for him to come back before he starts. The first one is actually from the first two actually are from lads from the Talking Balls podcast. First is Chris McGee. He says, what are you feeding your D-line? Complete animals compared to the start of the season.
He made a comment, about listen. That D-line is disgustingly scary. They're getting flags for over aggression. Too much aggression, to me. I don't think you can have enough aggression on the D-line. You might say different, but listen, it's the way they're coached. Get to that ball no matter how, get there quick, and you've got the likes of Dean McNeil, who played fullback for the Jets, I think, and I was bringing him in as a fullback because I thought that was the position he wanted to play. He said, "No, I could play D end." Put him in, taught him a few moves and, what to do. And he's been ripping it up, also acquiring Danny Moore. That boy came in and, he's just outstanding. And we've got the likes of Big Elliott with a wingspan. He would take up the whole field with just putting his arms out to the side. And I'm trying to remember, we've got the experience of D. Larmer and George Brand included, and Darren McKeever came in. These are all experienced guys that are in the D tackle position, and they're going to take up double teams, to where if you're going to give double teams in the middle and then take the single on the outside, and Danny and Dean are just racking it. So you have to give the props to the inside of the line as well, but that's what am I feeding them? They can be tested and it wouldn't be anything that's dodgy.
Look, listen, Annie, I'm loving the fact that you're giving the interior D-line the credit that they deserve, because any coach that gives an interior D-lineman credit is good in my book. So, yeah, I'm okay with that. You're happy with that. You must... you can just... I know. We tried to do a 5-front this year to try and combat that as well. So, but actually, it's funny because you were meant just with that question, and obviously with your history with the Knights. I think I asked the same thing. We had Reggie, left tackle from the Knights, on the show last week, and I asked him the same thing. Like, what are you feeding your guys down there? Because the Knights are just massive boys up there now as well.
They're I look back at my years at the Knights, and even the Trojans, and it was a different kettle of fish in the offensive line. I give props to the offensive line. People talk about, you ran, you were great, this and that. Listen, without an offensive line, you can't do anything. And them boys were fantastic on both teams, but I don't know what they're eating during the week, but can't endorse it. I don't know if they're, and that's, but it's probably red meat, I'd say.
a lot of it for sure.
Boys, my neck is getting smaller because I don't have to look up to these boys anymore. It doesn't strengthen. My neck doesn't have
to. Right. On to the next one. Then Neil Adams asks, "Who's your favorite fellow Arsenal sufferer?"
Oh, it has to be Neil.
Yeah.
Oh, it has to be Neil, 100%. The text messages that boy sends me, me and him, I think it was more of the Arsenal that got us talking, and that boy is as heartbroken as I have over the Wenger years. And this season, listen, you had to bring it up on birthday. Cheers, Neil. Second's better than last. That's all I'm going to say.
Look, that's true. And I guess after last night's game as well, maybe I think it feels a little not great knowing that those lads down there in that London stadium are just lifting, well, whatever that thing is. I don't know.
Something more than a lot of London clubs, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Dave, just to let you know.
Adam, you had a few questions there. Do you want to throw them there at Gareth before I go through the rest of these listener questions?
Well, I've now been told I'm not allowed to ask one of them.
Why?
I was like, you might know who it was coming from.
Oh, why? Why am I not allowed to? All right, now I need to know.
They say I'm not allowed to ask it, but she still wants to know why your nickname is Suntan.
Listen, everybody asks, and it is pure terrible that. And do you know what? It's not even funny. It's not. Do you know what? If it was funny, I would tell it. But it's just one of those ones that the simple way to say it is because I go a good colour in the sun. And someone shouted. I can't remember what it was. I was playing running back for the Belfast Bulls at the time, and they were struggling on defense. I ran on as a linebacker, and I don't even know who shouted and says, "If you make a tackle, we'll get you some sunbed token suntan." There you go. That was it. And then everybody was calling you suntan. I was like, you can't get out of it. You tried. It's
you stuck for 25, 30 years.
25, 30 years. People thought it was other things that even that told me, I work away. You know what? I've probably busted everyone's hopes and dreams. It was terrible. That's why I never told the story till now.
An under-center exclusive.
No, there you go. It's a terrible exclusive. You can have it if you want it. I would cut it out if you can.
Right. Have you got any more? Are you going to try and ask the question you cannot ask?
Go on. I think I'll be told off if I do ask this then.
Oh, don't tell you who it's from then. Just say it. Oh, no, you can't do that. I'll answer.
See, the problem is, if I ask it, you'll know exactly who it's from.
But I won't tell anyone.
It's even worse.
You're going to have to text me.
Right. Right, I'll ask it since you've asked nicely for it. I'm waiting on her coming in the room now. Why? How raging were you when you couldn't beat a 16-year-old in a swimming competition?
Right, here we go. I'm going to set the tone, right? So I take swimming lessons at a leisure centre, and I'm a swimming coach, and this kid kept nibbling at me because I'm 16 and a half stone. He kept looking and going, I beat you in a swimming race. I said, that's okay. I get you. So I got injured I think it was a while back with my Achilles, and I couldn't race him. So he was at me. Here's me. I'm gonna take this boy on. So I gets into the water one day, and there he is. Now I have to say this kid is a great swimmer, not just saying that. And there we go, ready to off. Everybody's watching. All the parents are watching. All the lifeguards can whistle to start. And off we go, straight in the front crawl. I said, he's going to ease off. I'm hammering my front crawl. I keep it breathing to one side to look at him. And that wee boy wasn't for stopping. He was taking over me. And I hammered it at the end. It ended up a draw. And another exclusive is I think he beat me. I think they were just saving face for me. And tell her it felt terrible because I knew.
I'm sure she'll enjoy
that. Oh, tell her I gotta kill her.
Right. Wilson or WSD_62 wants to know, at what stage of your career did you think that becoming a head coach was a viable option?
Never. Do you know, the hardest thing is, as I said before, the retirement, it has to come at some stage. And for someone that's played for so long, and it's hard and it's not easy. You're going into so many years, and it's hard. Like, people can walk away, and I don't know how they can do it. So when George Brand sent the message, do you know any coaches? And when I came back with me, you could see that him and Stephen Robb and all the boys that I've played with in the past that played for the Razorbacks, they were like, "No, you're joking." And then I turned around and went, okay, then they must want me. So I went down, and I'd rather give back to the experience, and it was never an option. It was never anything I thought of. No, until George Brand sent that message, I wasn't for maybe helping out somewhere, some way or another, or somewhere, but never a head coach. And it's been the best thing I've ever done, I have to say, especially with the Razorbacks as well. It's given so much pleasure from bringing them where they were to where they can be and where they could be. It's fantastic.
Excellent. Evan Quigley, also from the Vikings, friend of the show, has been on before, asks, what are his goals for next year? So was it year 2 of the 5-year plan, isn't it?
Yeah. So year 1 was to be competitive as best as possible in that league and learn. Like, we have no film footage on teams in this league apart from the likes of the Jets and Louth and possibly the Vipers from past way back. The next one is believe it or not, next year was a playoff run. To try and make the playoffs and have a playoff run. Nothing to win, but have that. But the potential's there to do it this year. So I've always said to the boys, we may have this 5-year plan, but if something comes into our lap earlier, we adjust. It goes into the 6-year plan minus 1 year. You take it back and just push it back. So we have the potential of doing year 2 and year 1, which unbelievable. And I'm over the moon that we even got this bit. Like, we're sitting here, I think we're safe, if I'm right in saying that we can't go down. So, so we've achieved year 1 already. And if we get a playoff run, that's technically year 2. So I'll have to go back to the drawing board on that one. Yeah, so it was a playoff run. Was the big one. Yeah.
So it's a 4-year plan now. It's not a 5-year plan.
Oh, we add an extra year. It's in that 5-year plan. The Shamrock Bowl wasn't part of
it. We got a question from actually the Vikings Instagram page sent us about 3 questions there, so I'll go through them quickly. First one, best O and D player in D1 excluding Razorbacks.
Let me think. It's hard, you know what, because I've got a couple for, I like But then you're looking at statistics, you know. Do you know, and he's probably going to get a slap for this, but the wee quarterback for the Vikings, what's his name? Finn. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Deceptive young fella, without swearing. He was very deceptive when we played him.
You can say whatever you want.
You know, he was so deceptive and fast, and you know, I hit him. I jumped on D line to let the defensive line player, you know, take a rest. Some would say it could be late, but I hit him, and you know, it was within 1-2 steps. I take that as okay, and I remember the sideline shouting over, "That was a late hit. That was a late hit." And I'm looking at them going, "Listen, it was, you know," and having a chat with them. That's mouthing or anything like that. And the wee lads jumped up and tapped me on the helmet and said, "Great hit." You know, lovely. Just, you know, people like that, you know, they don't lie on the ground and they don't roll about like a football player. They took a hit and let the referees make the decision, you know, and his attributes, he's got a good arm. Actually, as a running back, I watched his handoff as well. His handoff's fantastic. But I could put that wee running back in as well, you know, for them, and the combination between them two. But then, sorry, I'm throwing everyone at you. You know, it's as if I'm sitting on the fence. But Brendan Sims as well. You know, like the two top teams. I'm calling out the two top teams here. Brendan Sims. You know, I've from game one, I played the Razorbacks. Was that at Life or was that at home? I'm trying to remember. I think it was at Life, and I hit him, and I got a good hit on him. And again, he was just a lovely kid with so much ability. And yes, I'm sitting on the fence with them sort of three, just by looking at it, you know. But you have to go back to the offensive line. Without all the offensive line, what can you really do? It's always hard to pick one person out of a group of amazing, talented young fellas, you know. And I have to mention them all. Defense, excluding Razorbacks.
Yep.
You know, who have we got? I'm looking down here. I love Kurt from the Vikings. Do you know, there's a photo. I go back to when I had a run for the Knights against the Vikings in the semi-final, and there's a picture of me hitting them. And I remember him emailing me or texting me and saying that it haunts his dreams. And I remember the first handoff I got against Limerick, and he cleaned me at the thighs. And I just remember looking, going, "Good on you, kid." He's learning, you know. So you see him learning from it. He's still there as well, which is the biggest thing. I'm going to go Kurt, middle linebacker for Limerick. Unbelievable kid.
Very good, very good. And you're right about Finn, though. He's been really, really good this year.
Cool and calm. Cool and calm.
That's it. Watching that game on Sunday was just a great example as well, because the first half, and say the first, I think 3-4 series, the Mavericks defensive line especially was on top, and you know, getting at him every play. Second half, he adjusted, the team adjusted, and they played very, very well. And obviously, it was his command of the team, and you know, going up tempo there towards the end of the game and getting that touchdown to win the game. Now, I have my doubts whether or not that should have stood. Because I'm telling you now, they went quick, so obviously they were getting to the line quick, but their wide receiver, I'm almost certain, didn't get to the line in time and set himself before Finn snapped that ball and ran it in for a touchdown. I'm almost certain.
But is that not the whole referee thing, or if that was the other side of the field?
Well, look, that's the thing. If it was, and it was the wide receiver on the Viking side of the field, so the Mavericks didn't cop it either. They were not going to see it. I was just keeping an eye on that as well, and I was like, "Oh, it was a bit close. It was a bit close."
I tip my hat to a lot of the referees in this league. See, when it comes to a close game, and I think it was our TPOs as well down there. When it's a close game like that, and you have to make a decision like that. Oh, I think that's worse than losing a game 1-0. You know, that's a tough decision to make. You know, it was run up the middle, wasn't it? I'm trying to remember.
It was a QB keep up the middle. Yeah.
So you're sort of looking, if the QB has the balls to go up the middle, give it to him. You know, I'm.
Yeah.
But no. Oof.
That's a tight decision. Oh, look, listen. I know. I'm the same. I won the TPOs for the Pirates. Lucky the game that I've had to do this year was a blowout win for the Vikings up there in Derry. So it wasn't actually that bad, and I was actually working the Viking sideline that day too. So when you're on the same sideline as a team that's winning and winning big, you're not going to hear much, which is perfect. They're happy, so it's fine. You know. So the Vikings have also asked, and this is an interesting one. Considering that you will have hopefully a lot to say in how the answer is, who's going to win D1?
I said it from the beginning, Vikings. Nothing against Loaf, 0 against Loaf. If I always go by how would they survive up the table, up into the next conference. I feel as though the Loaf had how many players at that game? Was it 16?
16, 17, something like that. Yeah.
To me, that division step from D1 up is a harder hitting division. And if you start to lose players, that is it's not good. You know, to me, Limerick have the same as Louth, athletic kid. I'm not saying kids. That sounds terrible. I'm 40 now, so I can. The kids, you know, but they have athletic. But they have. Well, you were. I always was a fan of wearing a middle linebacker down, running into him. They have someone to replace him that's the same sort of level. That you end up worn down by what you were trying to do. You know, they're so well oiled. They've got Liam Rand there, who to me is like can decipher any offense, defense, and you know they've a great bunch of lads that I would say their training schedule is immense as well. You know, I don't know anything about that, but I would say they've been well drilled, and they've the mentality of it. But I think them, and that's as I say, it's nothing against life, so don't be hitting me.
And then the Vikings' last one. I feel these are all like low-hanging questions because they're looking for a bit of self-praise. Maybe good, justified because playing well. But the best team you face so far.
Limerick.
Yeah.
I was going to say Louth or Reynolds. Louth or Reynolds. You know, Reynolds' defense is strong. Mm-hmm. See, I don't know faced as in playing or faced as in head coaching. You know, as a player, the Reynolds were strong on defense. Really, really strong. You know, they had the backside contained, so I would say Limerick as an overall offense and defense, they can have the self-praise. They can have it 100%. They deserve it, you know, and they narrowly lost out last year as well. This is Louth now stepping their game up to beat me now, but but I feel as though the Louth game was 7-0 in the first quarter, and some decisions were made that ate at me, and that's all I'm going to say. They ate at me. You know, that could have been possibly a different game, but I still think Louth was going to win that game, but not by the score that they did. If that helps.
Oh, yeah, of course. Right, then we'll move on. Mr. Sam Explains. One of your old linemen. You've been in the game a long time, but has this season taught you anything new?
No, I haven't changed. I've been open and honest. If a player asks a question, I'm not going to blow smoke. I'm going to give him the advice that I need to give him. And if he doesn't like that, that's on him, not on me, in my eyes. Do I say things that are very abrupt? Yes, 100%. Do I write text messages that I shouldn't write, that people perceive as me shouting? Big Stu. I have been told that I should be sending voice notes because they read it as an angry tan. That's what they say. They read it as an angry tan, and I can see why. But listen, you need to. They have me wrong. They have me wrong. Listen, I've never changed over the course of the years. Some people don't like me. Some people do like me. And to me, I don't care. So that's just the way it's going to be. And as a coach, if I see you treating this sport as a joke, you're in for it. There's no doubt about it. I don't take this sport as a joke. If that helps.
Absolutely. Connor Keeley asks, and I think we sort of touched on this anyway, but I'll ask the question again. How did the Razorbacks attract so many Jets players after last season?
So we after the bowl game, we acquired Oren McCool, Declan Curran, and Owen Delargy. 3 guys. They weren't happy. They came. I again said, can you sort it out with your team? They said, we've tried. Boys, I'm not going to turn you down. Come on over. And right away, episode 1, technically an episode because this is like a drama. Session 1.
I can't wait for the all or nothing to come out about this now already.
It's a lot of bleeps. As much as I don't swear on, you have to be respectful. There's a lot of bleeps, so you might not hear as much. Like I don't even. I get caught with the camera so many times, and Lindsay just seems to love to show people that I swear. And that's So basically, that yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things, when they see the setup and they see the structure of the way I've structured the team, the committee needed help. I'm not down in any. I have to say this. I don't want to down anyone previously before me in the Razorbacks, but the Razorbacks were folding, and there's no doubt about it. They were folding, so that team needed someone that has been about and could structure a committee with no head coach involved in that committee. And I find a lot of teams think a head coach on the committee is a good idea. No. One deals with the off the field, one deals with on the field, and that's the way it should be. No coaches should be on that committee in any way, shape, or form, because then they can dictate to the head coach. People fall out, and it ends up in a storm that you don't want involved in, and the older I'm getting, the more I'm understanding that this sport you shouldn't lose friends with this sport. And that happens through abuse of power sometimes, and that's the thing. So yeah, they need it from the ground up, and there's great people on the committee, and there's great people now coaching that we have been very, very lucky to attract people, in from other clubs. And there's zero poaching, because you hear this thrown about poaching this, poaching that. Everybody's an adult. Everybody says where they want to go. There was no direct contact from me, which I disagree with. Any direct contact from a team to another player that is playing for another team is a disgrace. And I've said that for years, and that hasn't happened. They've contacted me. I've asked them, and they've came along out of their own bat, and I'm so happy to have them. And they've learned so much over the time, and that's that. That's it.
Yeah, and it's an interesting dynamic that you brought there as well about committees and how they shape up, because obviously you see a good example of it is the Trojans. Obviously they have their GM head coach, so sort of like that NFL style, keeping everything apart. So the GM can do that day to day. So like that with their sponsorships, organizing the home grounds, the everything that they do, which obviously they are, you know, the target. You know, that's ideally what you want to reach, of like how they do everything in the background and how they set up and promote their team as well, and having that separate, which then allows, like you're saying, the head coach just to do what he wants to do, and that's just be a head coach.
And you know, and I've been in that setup, you know, with the Trojans, and it's so much more easier. You can see the head coach a lot more relaxed as well, you know, and just worrying about 2 days a week, 3 days a week, you know, and not having to worry about, is the pitch set up, are we enough money, have we this, have we that, you know. The head coach shouldn't be involved in any of this. That's a tough job. That's a job in itself. And again, it's a non-playing member, I feel, should be in that position to make it so much easier, because it's like you see it with the AFI as well. I feel so sorry for Aiden, you know, phone calls outside of work. You know, this is a like, even head coaching's a full-time job on top of your full-time hours, you know, and you're trying to do as much in work as possible because you're being paid for it, you know. I hope my boss doesn't see this, because he loves American football and he normally watches what I'm on. But all right.
We're talking about model employee here. He doesn't do any Razorback stuff during work hours.
Not at all.
Talking about?
Not at all. Not at all. Don't do it on my computer.
But look, listen. I'm sure people have found worse on people's work computers rather than trying to set up a game plan for for a couple of weeks, you know. So I wouldn't worry about that too much, Pat. We have one more question that I'll ask you, and this is actually coming from the Razorbacks official account. So did you think you'd be successful in turning the Hogs into a competitive team?
No.
Interesting.
When you turn up in the position that they were, when I left the first day I came down, I said I'll come down and have a look, you know, see the structure, see this, see that. And there was 14 players, and you're asking, do we have any more? And people are saying, yeah, we've this, we've that. They're playing rugby, they're playing this. To me, they're nobodies. You know, anyone that wants to play a sport outside of a sport, they shouldn't be added into your numbers, because that sport should be the only sport that they play. You know, and I was lucky enough to have Colin Parks tell me how dire it was in and out, and it allowed me to make quicker decisions, to make phone calls, to see the likes of which I will always give props to the Belfast City Lions, you know, Dan and Ian Shaw at the time. I contacted them and asked, does any of your guys want to play kitted? You guys have the flag, we'll play the kitted. We ended up with 27 players that season, you know, and yes, it was tough because it was teaching someone from flag to play contact, you know, and it was tough, but I give props to Lindsay McVeigh 100%. The social media side of things, and again, going back to why we recruited so well, the social media side of things, when you look at professional and then they come down and you're structured and professional, that's what brings people in. But did I think they would be where they are in 2 years? No, not at all. I don't think anyone did. And, you know, people can say we've been lucky, and we've had a tough schedule as well. You know, there's a lot of people. I'm a firm believer that everyone should play each other once, you know, and if you play everyone in that league and you get the wins and you get the thing, that gets you to move up, where there's a lot of teams that would play, I'm not saying lesser teams, but they were the likes of the Rebels and UCD. Not everyone's played them twice, and they've played each other twice. And UCD's sitting below the Trojans, I think it is. Yeah, UCD's sitting below the Trojans.
After last week's win, they're not now. They are actually back up in the third.
Are they back up? They back up.
Yeah, back up there now. Yeah,
It's just one of those things that I see as, you know, if you're not playing the top teams and you're avoiding, say you play the Rebels or you play UCD, you play one of them. How are you gonna succeed in the other way? You're gonna go in the back door to win a Shamrock Bowl. It's definitely not. You can see with the Knights and Cowboys and Minotaurs, you know, they need to play teams like that so they can assess where they are and know where they are, you know, and that's my thing is always play the harder teams to find out where you are and find out where you're lacking and where you need to be. But again, I think that's going back to the old days when we played everyone once, you know, 4 home, 4 away, but everybody played everybody. You know, and it's harder with the schedules and the referees and the stuff like that. You know, I've a lot of respect for that AFI board and the refereeing, you know, the structure of all that. It's massive. This is bigger than 4 teams playing American football, 5-6 teams back in the day, you know, unbelievable. But no, I don't think. I thought we would be in Division 2 this year and playing 3 games, maybe, you know, and again, the way that was working. But no, definitely not. And I don't think anyone should have. It was tough. It was tough, but we got there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, good thing you didn't play Division 2. You would have had a couple of games cancelled on you anyway, with Trinity not being around. So
it's heartbreaking as well, because I remember Trinity getting to the Shamrock Bowl final. You know, to have such a great team just in the position that it's in, you know, and it's sad to see. It's sad to see because you see they're to me they're classed as an older club, like Limerick, you know, and it's sad to see that they're in that position. But again, if you're relying on people in university season, it's not good. And that's where I say Limerick, because they're out like Limerick's out the same time as Trinity. You know, they're not in university longer, unless I'm wrong. But if they're able to do it, why are the rest not able to do it? To me, it's a laugh at the sport, and it shows that it's not taken seriously to a certain point. That if they're willing to go home and not finish out a season, it's heartbreaking for the club more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah, I think it comes down as well to, you know, what the criteria is for the club, because obviously you see with UCD it's current students and alumni, and I think it's probably the same with UL as well. I think it's current students and alumni. As far as I'm aware, I think Trinity were only implementing the rule where it's current students.
Right. So
that was tough. That's going to be very tough.
Yeah, that's going to kill them, because a lot of them students going back home or not things. So realistically, that's up to the whatever committee's in place to turn around and try and change that, you know, and that's the biggie. If they're looking to continue in any way, shape, or form, they can't depend on people that are going to go home, you know, and you see it. You can see it as well.
Yeah, totally. And look, listen, hopefully, like I doubt we will see them next year. If it is by the rules, I don't think that they're going to allow to be playing next year. But if that does give them a year just to get their house in order, all the good for them, because that's the one. The last thing we need is teams folding and having less teams in the league, because we need to get as many teams as possible in the league. You know, we used to have Galway out there. We need to sort of work at trying to get another team out there out west, because there are players out there out west. Like, even just look at, for example, Tyg Leader out there now, what he's doing, and he originated out from Galway. Same, I think Finn Kearns, the quarterback of the Panthers, he's originally from Galway too. And, you know, there's loads of talent out there. You just obviously need to set up a team with good people in place to sort of help promote it, and, you know, keep it going, and, you know, getting more teams down south of Leinster and down in Munster too. Just try and build as we can.
The way I see it is, when a team creates itself, don't run before you can walk. Take a year and charge fees for preseason games. You know, get teams down, but charge the team fees and get your bank account, you know, to a certain level, because it's an expensive sport. If a team doesn't have the money to play, it's tough as well, you know. And I think if they take the first season out, which if Trinity do it right and take this next season and actually push it and put put the in place that they can have alumni or outside players, a certain percentage of outside players, or turn it into a team, take it away from the university and turn it into an actual team, but fingers crossed, because I do hate to see teams lose teams now. So I do, and that's the biggie. Unfortunately, that's part of the parcel.
Yeah, totally. And look, listen, we have a couple of minutes left. I have to ask about June 18th.
Yeah,
I have to ask because that is the game, obviously, that's going to define your season, but just whether or not obviously you're going to continue. You're at the Mavs. They, like we have been mentioning, been singing their praises all throughout the show. Fantastic team.
100%.
You beat the Mavs. You're in the playoffs. That'll be guaranteed. The Rhinos are on your tail. If they win and you win, it doesn't matter. But if you lose and they win, obviously with their head-to-head record over yourselves, they would go ahead of you and go into the playoffs. Preparation, I'm sure, is well underway. But a couple of weeks out from the game, how are you feeling?
We've achieved our year one, so the pressure's off for the boys. We're going out to play American football and enjoy it. That's all we want to do, is go and enjoy it. Now there's no pressure. In my eyes, if we don't make it, we don't make it. If we do, I'm back to the drawing board. So we're going to go out, we're going to enjoy it, we're going to play hard football, give them a game to where it preps them, for their next game, because they're going on to another game. So even if we lose, we can give them a good game to help prep them, and that's the way I see it. There's no point in, if we have to rely on, was it the Vipers to beat Rhinos, is it? We don't deserve to be there. We don't deserve to be there, in my eyes. I think the Rhinos really do deserve to be in that sort of fourth spot, the way the seasons went, but if we don't beat Louth, we don't deserve to be there. And if the Vipers have to beat the Rhinos, we don't deserve to be there in my eyes. But again, I'm the boys like to call me the negative one. Yeah. Listen, we had to beat Crusaders there in my eyes. We've now put it in the hands of someone else. And again, ourselves, but also in the hands of someone else. But we should have taken the Crusaders when we had the chance. But other than that, the prep's going on rightly. The boys were there on Sunday. They were there Wednesday. They've done their film. They've done their weight sessions. They've done everything, and the prep's there. And if we do it, we do it. We don't, we don't. But we're going out to play.
Excellent. Right, let's have a look then at, there's 3 games on this weekend, and I want to get your point of view on what you think is going to happen. 2 games in the Premier Division, 1 game in Division 2. We're going to go, let's go to your former team, the Knights, traveling to Craigavon to take on the Cowboys. The Knights win, they are guaranteed to stay up, and then that will obviously relegate the Cowboys. If the Cowboys win, it's all to play for their last games of the year. Who do you think is going to win this game?
Technically a relegation bowl. Technically. And you gotta take the love for a team out of it. This is not the second year they've been in the relegation bowl. At some point they're going to have to realize that they can't be in this position each year. That this isn't their thing. This isn't a win. They need to progress. The Cowboys, it's hard to call because you don't know who's there, who's not there, and who's injured, who's not injured. I go to me, the most experienced side in my head would be the Knights. You've got the big O line, you've Spencer. You've got the big D line. You've Robbie Alexander, Bucket. If both teams, honestly, if both teams bring it that day, that's going to be one hell of a game. But I'm going to go Knights because of the O line and the big boys. If the big boys can do it, that's game over. But again, that's not putting the Cowboys out anyway. That I could be wrong, but I think the Knights will take that one.
Yeah, I think I sort of tend to agree with you as well. The big thing for the Cowboys this year is they haven't been able to put up points at all. They've really struggled to score points, and you don't score points, you don't win games, unfortunately. And whereas the Knights have sort of struggled, and speaking with Reggie last week, you know, those results don't sort of really show the whole picture of what's really been going on in the team. It's not similar to, like you mentioned, they were in a relegation battle last year where they obviously beat the Rhinos on the last day to stay up. But this one has been different. They've been more competitive in games. I just remember back to that Rebels game where they were beating them at halftime. You know, there's definitely talent there, new talent as well. So they just need to get through this year, let them have a year playing under their belts, and maybe take that step forward next year in the Premier Division. I think they will. So I agree with you. I think the Knights to beat them and to stay up this year anyway, for sure.
I think it's the experience side of things will take over. Definitely, you know, there's a lot of those boys that were in under pressure games going to the final in 2017, was it? And they were put under pressure in some games, but they stood up and they worked for it. So that's the only reason, is because they've been in positions before that they might have the upper hand.
Yeah. The Minotaurs are at home to the Cork Admirals. The Admirals took a huge, surprising defeat to the Rebels last week. A game that we probably didn't think, a result that we didn't think was going to happen. I think it was a 48-0 in the end. The Admirals will want to win this game to make sure that they cement second place to get that home semi-final. And I think they will. I think they'll beat the Minotaurs in this game. But Gareth, what are you thinking?
My what is it's a 5-1 against, what's that, 2 and my eyes are getting worse even with glasses. That just shows you 2 and 4, is it?
2 and 4. I had the Premier Division table open and I closed it. I don't know why, but let me just
you know how stupid I am. I just dip my head there instead of just zooming into it. That's the head now.
Yeah, so 5-1, 2 and 4. Yeah,
2 and 4. The thing with the Admirals is they've scraped by games, you know, against the Trojans, against, was it the Knights, where the Rebels were just a rampant machine that you can see. They have additional extras in the team already on the team that was at the Shamrock Bowl, but I love the Minotaurs. You know, I watched them in the final when we had a New Forge, and their running back, I have a lot of time for. I've never spoke to him or anything, but he reminded me a bit of myself. You know, just a power back runner. And it depends, you know, I'm going to go Minotaurs. I hope I haven't scuttled them, but I'm going to go Minotaurs because I think if their O-line and their big boys really start to make moves, and, you know, their quarterback is outstanding as well, you know, and I'm not just saying I love Joe, you know, but if he's on form, he can thread a ball through a needle, like the eye of a needle. Unbelievable. So I'm going to go Minotaurs. Nothing against the Admirals, of course. No, nothing's ever personal. But yeah, no, I'm going to go Minotaurs for that one.
All right. Perfect. Division 2 then, the Giants against the Eagles. The Eagles will seal first place if they win this game. I think actually it's going to be the last game in general of the season, obviously with Trinity gone as well, so there won't be any other games going on. So it's a fight for first place for the time being anyway. Giants and Eagles, who have you got?
See, this is the thing. Didn't the Eagles beat the Giants? I'm glad Adam's not here because he'd shout at me. You know, the Eagles beat the Giants. Was that at home?
In Wexford, they did. Yeah, it was 30. I want to say 36-8 or something like that, or 36-6, something like that. I remember the game, which was delayed because it was one of those games, Dave, where on the day where we had that big torrential rain and the thunderstorms that stopped every game that day.
Yeah,
but they beat them down in Gorey there.
See, it depends what Wexford travel with, you know. unfortunately, it's not a paid sport, and people can't always travel, and you don't always know what they're bringing. Again, the Giants seem to have been progressing throughout, so maybe the tail end of the season they've clicked as well. With the new head coach. I'm going to go Wexford, and the only reason is because of the previous game, but it could be anyone's. But I'll go Wexford because the coaching structure and stuff that's there. I know the boys that are there, and they're very, very good. That's not taking anything away from the Giants, but this is their first year with a new head coach, and he's trying to do a lot of stuff, which is good. But I'm going to go Wexford as Adam pops up on the side of the screen here.
What were you saying? Yeah, look, I've played both these teams this year. The Giants, it all depends for me with the Giants when it comes to who is going to be playing quarterback that day. When we played them at home and they beat us quite well, they had what was his name? Chig McCoy was his name. He was playing quarterback. He could get out of the pocket, throw in the pocket. He played very well that day. He actually, did he have 2 rushing touchdowns that day himself? I think he did.
Smart.
Yeah. So, but when we played them up there, they didn't have him available. And it just limited their offense so much. With him not playing. So if he's not playing, if he is playing that game, I give them a greater chance to win than if he isn't. The Eagles, that was my first experience going up against a Coach Klatt team, and it's that triple I formation or quadruple I formation if you include the quarterback. It's so tough to stop. It's so tough to stop, especially playing on the D line, because even their O line now, where they're after getting some of their,
it's tiresome,
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing. You're constantly go, and they tire you down and wear you down. It's fantastic. Yeah. Of course, look from an outsider looking in, it's fantastic, but playing against it would be hell.
Oh, it's a pain in the ass, and it's and if it's not this I formation they have, obviously there are other ones, and their quarterback now has got an arm on him too. I think was it Luke Fitzpatrick is his name, is their wide receiver. He's scored something like 8 touchdowns in 3 games. He can take the ball on a jet sweep and just run with it to the end zone, or he'll catch it in the air. He's a big lad too, so he's been playing really, really well. Just adds that extra dimension. So I'm gonna go with the Eagles, but like you mentioned, it's all dependent on how many numbers travel up to that game.
Exactly.
Now, I did hear a bit of a rumor at the start of the season that both these teams are in negotiations about trying to meet in a place in the middle for both games to sort of, make the journey not as tedious for each team when they were going away and home. But that was that was rejected by one team. I can't remember which one. So it's going to be a tough one. I think I saw they're leaving at like 8 a.m. on Sunday morning.
It depends who said no to it. If it if it was the Giants and they went down and got beaten, and vice versa, so it might have not worked in their favor in the end of it, so you never know. Find out.
But for this game anyway, I'm going to go Eagles because I think that they're on a one-way ticket to Division 1 next year for sure. And I don't think this is going to stop them. They're just too good for Division 2. They've gotten their numbers back. They've gotten their vets back. Their rookies are playing really well. I think they're ready for that step up to Division 1 next year. But look, listen, Gareth, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on today, buddy.
Thanks
really hope I haven't ruined your birthday too much by getting
not at all. You made the
excellent stuff. And look, listen, I'm hoping to get up to that game in Loud in a couple of weeks for sure, to check it out. So I'll be keeping a close eye on it.
Come over and see me.
Oh, I will of course.
Appreciate
Just don't ask me to bring my boots. I'm on a day off, so I'm not going to be doing anything there that
it. Thanks for that.
But before we let you go, we ask all of our guests this before we let you go. If there is anyone in the Belfast area or close to it that's interested in taking part in American football, whether that's flag or contact, and they want to get in contact with yourself or with the team, how can they do that?
Through the Facebook or Instagram page. That's the best way.
Right.
Lindsay's on the ball. As soon as it comes through, she'll be able to answer.
Excellent stuff. Nice and simple. This is going to bring us to the end of the show. If you are watching us on YouTube and you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to the Under Center Podcast YouTube channel to be kept up to date with all the latest shows. Also, comment underneath and let us know who you think is going to be winning the games this weekend. Who do you think is going to win who do you think is going to take that final playoff spot, I should say, in Division 1 as well in a couple of weeks? Is it going to be the Razorbacks? Is it going to be the Rhinos? Let us know. If you want to listen to us on the go, Under Center Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, that's where you can listen to us. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you want, we are there. Finally, our socials, Instagram @UnderCenterPod, Twitter, the exact same @UnderCenterPod. Make sure you are following us on them as well. Like I said, Gareth, thank you so much. Best of luck in a couple of weeks' time, and best of luck with the rest of the season for sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And we're going to call it a day here. But until next time, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.